All right, so I was sifting through a songwriting forum, just sort of looking for a few random tunes to listen to during my day. And on these songwriting forums, there's probably an equal number or similar number of people who just post lyrics. And as a general rule of thumb, I have found that mostly the lyrics don't interest me as something that I want to read or react to, and mostly when I read them, I can right away kind of tell that best case scenario, these lyrics are okay, but they don't immediately suggest um, much in the way of being particularly musical or particularly great or particularly poignant. They may do. They may be good enough to do the job, but they're not something that I'm gonna delve into, like trying to offer any real thoughts about, because for the most part, people who can only write lyrics, I find, often have a similar hill to climb in terms of understanding the difference between poetry and lyrics. There are many, but one of them starts with sort of the musicality and regularity of your text. That it's not enough to just write beautiful language. It ultimately has to be sung, and it ultimately has to be sung to well, I say has to be, and of course, there, you can always do what you want, and rules are meant to be broken, especially in creative things. But when you're just starting out and you're posting stuff, you're the sort of person who's posting stuff for other people to get feedback on. You probably should be mostly thinking about your understanding of convention, and the convention here for lyrics would be you want your lyrics to be regular, musical, with the understanding that functionally different words are going to fit on the same melody, and that so they should have the same, not only the same number of syllables, but the same alignment of stresses. There's sort of further sophistication as far as like when something's kind of naturally musical or when it's going to be a challenge to make it re-stress into something that is musical and fits into a groove within like a traditional kind of song context. In any event, so I've yet to read, and to be fair, I haven't really read them deeply, but I've yet to glance at a song, a lyric, where I kind of took notice. And I know this is a very long intro. I'm tempted to re-record the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep on going. Until now, this is the first one that really sort of grabbed me, right away with some positive attributes that just immediately stood out. So I want to go ahead and share it and react to it now. So to give credit where credit's due, this is a lyric that was posted by Shane. I may mispronounce his last name. Shane Shacher. Schacher. It is a partial lyric. No doubt not a completed song. It's very short. But here's how it reads, just to read it. Whitley was singing Don't Close Your Eyes as we drank round a bonfire with her by my side late in October when the weather gets cold. That's how we lived at 20 years old. I'll love you forever was a lie we all told. Late in October when the weather gets cold. Okay, so it's not, I don't want to overstate it. Like, I'm not trying to say, wow, that floored me, but here's what grabbed me about it, and that I'll stand by. That reads so naturally, and is so obvious, its regularity is so apparent, and the rhymes line up where they should, the stresses are consistent. Not so, yeah, again, like I said, not just the syllables, but the stresses. When you read it, and you're just speaking it naturally, it all just comes out already lined up musically. So, to give you sort of poetry and lyric writing is about organization of language. So, for instance, here's something else I saw today. This is a notice from my daughter's school. And of course, it's not going to line up. It's going to read naturally, but it's not going to sound musical. I think you already know before I do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, which is we've been carefully monitoring the weather forecast and have determined that on Fridays, schools will close 3 hours earlier than usual. We're making this decision early so families have ample time to plan. All after-school programs will also be closed. Reads very naturally because it's natural, plain language, right? But it is not poetic in any way, right? So it's kind of like, here's one end of the scale where natural language exists here. And then we come over to this other nice place where natural, organized, poetic language exists. Then on this other dimension, we have where natural language does not exist, but there's been an attempt at organization. That's where a lot of lyrics kind of lie, where a lot of, kind of beginner lyrics wind up, is that they're too much about the puzzle of rhyming. There's too much attention being paid to rhyming and not enough attention being paid to organization. And rhythmic organization is just as important, perhaps more important. It probably is more important that you be organized than that you rhyme. And a common thing that I would, might say to someone whose rhymes seem forced is rhyme less, say more. Like rhyme a little less often and say more in between. Okay, now, just to cap this off, and this is done totally without any permission, and I will claim nothing here. I'm just going to play some chords and not scat, but I'm going to play some chords and improvise just something, just to kind of show you how easy it would be to take Shane's lyric to the next stage. And I hope, I think it's very promising, and I think it's off to a great start. Here we go. Let's just pick some chords I might like. I don't love these chords, but I'm going to stick with it. Willie was singing, don't close your eyes, as we drank round the bonfire, her on my side, late in October when the weather gets cold. That's how we live at 20 years old. Love you forever was all I know we are told. Late in October when the weather gets cold. All right, so that's not great music. And I kind of lost the thread with my improvised guitar, but so easy to sing. And that's what you really need. What you really need is something. If you're sitting around writing lyrics, I talk about this in my Songwriter 101, like if you're going to get started, kind of, really pay attention to being iambic or anapestic. Use a guide. Make sure that it's going to organize. Pay attention to where your stressors are lining up, because when you sit down and try to sing the thing, that just flows off the tongue. It's pre-organized. It fits into any number of melodies. Natural melodies, the kind you've been spending your whole life as a musician singing, the things that are going to occur to your musical brain without a whole lot of, special construction. The natural melodies that are just going to occur to you really want to be populated with this kind of lyric. And you kind of know it when you hear it, but it also, it comes down to like really paying attention to how things line up. So that's great. Now, what we're all waiting for is song number 2, called School Is Not Quite Canceled Tomorrow. Dreaming with the forecast determined that on Friday schools would close 3 hours earlier than usual. And it's just, there you go. That's how so many like disorganized, it was natural language, but it lacked organization. And there are lyrics that come out like that. And it's like, you sit there and like, I would have to work really hard to find out, okay, where are my breaks? Obviously there's no rhyme. And there's no, the thoughts are of different lengths. So I know that's ridiculous. It wasn't meant to be that way. But it's a good stand-in without like calling somebody out for a problem that exists in a lot of people's lyrics, which is that you haven't given enough consideration to the musical organization and regularity of your lyric. So hopefully that was somewhat fun. Congratulations, Shane. That's off to a great start. Can't wait to hear the finished product. So, till next time.